you know, a lot of you, because a lot of you tuned in definitely last month. So thank you. Appreciate you guys. Like, it was actually really, really lit. Hey, Kalia, thank you so much for joining. Um, we got Sunny in the building. I will give her definitely a super, super awesome introduction later, but we do have Sunny here.
Hey.
So, but yeah, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, we started this last month, and I really wanted to do something, you know, just as a single mother and just, you know, being through the struggle and just, you know, seeing what not having financial literacy, what the problems that it can cause you, man.
Yes.
Like it's been a passion that's been burning inside me to get this information out there, because from personal experience, I know how it feels not to be financial literate.
Yes.
So every single third Tuesday of the month, I will do a financial literacy Tuesday discussion where we get real, authentic, and do nothing but drop gems about something in the financial scope. So tonight, it's going to be all about the real deal about property investing. Property investing. Look, I'm on last week. Home ownership, you guys. Home ownership. But listen, thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining. Definitely share this video too. I mean, we're about to be, Sunny is getting ready to drop some gems, you guys, and give y'all like a real scope on home ownership and not just the outside cliche stuff as, okay, get your credit fixed. We kind of know that, which of course I know she's going to touch on it, but I know she's going to dig deep and really just give y'all some gems that a lot of us need to know, you guys. So thank you guys for joining. Yes. Share this video. Definitely share this video.
Yes.
So really quick, while people are jumping on, I'm going to just actually share it in my group. If you guys do not know, there is an Extreme Financial Academy group where I actually coach people for free. I said free.
What?
I coach people for free. I started this in the summer of 2018. So for free, I coach people on how to actually restore their own credit legally, so you guys don't end up in jail. So definitely go follow, you guys. So I'm gonna get ready to actually share this and then we're gonna get started. But thank you guys for joining in. I appreciate it, guys. Stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Mama D, hey, how are you? Thanks for joining.
Yes. Good afternoon to everybody. Evening, actually.
Right.
I'm so used to being on the day to where it's an adjustment for me to be at night. If you know, I do have a podcast, so
absolutely, absolutely, and it's awesome. I've been on it, and she be jamming. Yes. She be having guest speakers, so I'm pretty sure she will talk about that later. Because y'all definitely need to tune in to hers as well. Okay, so I'm almost done, you guys, and then we will get started. Okay, I appreciate y'all joining, and please share this video. That's what we're doing right now. Yes. So, guys, while we're waiting, please just share this video. Like I said, we're getting ready to really get real, authentic, drop gems about home ownership. So, you guys definitely want to stay tuned and share this video because so many people need this information, you guys. That's why I created this platform to give information. Like, literally, like, I'm not an expert in everything, and I don't claim to be. Never have. But that doesn't mean that I cannot provide a platform to where you can, with an expert that can educate you. And that's exactly what this is. So you guys, please share this video.
It's only a family vacation if all the family is together.
One more and then
so you search for dog vacations. Dog.
Grammarly does more than catch errors.
Okay,
with Grammarly,
everything's good to go. Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for joining. Okay, so let's get started. So home ownership, you know, this is an exciting topic to me because I get a lot of people, especially as a credit expert and just what I do, I get a lot of people that ask me like, Deanna, why you ain't bought a house? And I'm just kind of like, you know, I really wanted an expert to come on and give y'all the other side to home ownership, not just, you know, yes, we're going to go over the steps, all that, of course, but just give you guys the other side because, you know, unlike some, I knew the other side. So some of the things, it just wasn't best for me. You know what I'm saying? Right. It wasn't, anything that had to do with anything else. It just wasn't best for me. So she's really just going to dig deep, and then you guys will kind of see like, oh, okay, that makes sense. When you're buying a house, you might want to look at X, Y, and Z before you do it, or long term, future wise, are you looking at the future? Are you looking at certain things that are really, really just going to be a super impact? And like you said, key. So without further ado, let me be quiet so I can get Miss Sunny on here. Without further ado, I really want to introduce you guys to a home ownership, what I consider definitely a real estate guru. And I'm going to let her formally introduce her company and exactly what she does. But without further ado, I love her to death. So this is actually a personal relationship as well as a business relationship. She's so supportive in the academy. So it was my honor as well to have her definitely on the show tonight. So without further ado, please welcome Sunni Pouncil.
Thank you. All right, you all. Thank you so much for that introduction. I couldn't have done this without the leadership of Deanna and what she has put together with the Extreme Financial Academy. It is definitely something that you all want to definitely keep in touch. I'm on my Facebook Live, so if you're not familiar with it, this is, again, not just the business, this is personal. And so we'll talk more about what we're digging into later on. But first off, I want to speak to the sellers. Because when you're talking about home ownership, you can't just give it all to the buyers, right? So we need to talk to the sellers. And I do understand that when you talk about home ownership, most people will say, I already own a home, so I don't need to hear all this. So that's what I want to do first. So if you have questions, please put them in the comment section somewhere where we can address them. We'll try and get to the ones that we can get to if we can see them. I can't see them on my personal Facebook page, so if you are on there and you're asking some questions, make sure that you definitely just let me know that you have a question, okay? So I can definitely try to answer those. Sorry, I was making sure there wasn't any questions and trying to get on my live feed. It's one thing when you have a podcast yourself, you have to do so many different things, and I'm speaking to two different cameras, and so, it's kind of interesting. We got lights, camera, and action. So here we go. Sellers. Basically, if you have a home and you're on, right now, our market is low. Okay, the U.S. residential real estate market states that in 2020 we're at a low with homes being on the market. So what does that mean for you? The supply and demand. And so you have the housing. And so if you have it at a great price, you have the right curb appeal, you are able to get your home sold for what you're really wanting it for. Okay, now let's be honest. Home buying season is approaching. It's spring season. This is the time where people are actually looking to purchase to buy homes. Why? Because your spring is spring break. And if you think about spring break, after the kids are going back to school, you literally have about 45 days left of school. Right. And then school is out. And so now you're trying to transition from one school district to the next school district. So it's so important to make sure that you're on point when you're looking at selling your home, because that is going to be a key selling point, especially if you're in a great school district. Okay.
So timing is very, very
important. Is very everything. And with those having a low market of homes being on the market for sale, now's the time to put your house on the market. So if you are on the fence, let me give you a couple little tips. Basically, you want to tidy up your yard. Some people think that curb appeal is not, going to be a sellable home. Cut back the shrubberies, cut back the trees, do some power washing on the driveways and things of that nature. Get the home and curb appeal. You don't necessarily have to plant all the beautiful flowers. You don't have to go to that extreme, but definitely grooming and trimming the yard, edging it up, mowing it real good. That sometimes add to it, okay? Believe it or not, if you walk up to a home and you saw a real nice landscaping, what would be your first approach? What would be your first thought? Right. This is a well-kept yard, so can only imagine that the home is well-kept, right? So you have to kind of make it look it needs to be sellable. It's so interesting how sellers will get to the point where they want to sell their homes and say, for example, the home may be worth $200,000. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're not partnering up with a real estate agent that is able to pull comps in your area, we utilize the system similar to an appraiser does, okay? But we're able to put together an idea of a sales price for you to what you can sell your home for. But it's what's according to what's sold in your neighborhood is what makes it sellable, if that makes any sense. So You want to make sure that the tidy of the yard, clear the pathways. Painting goes a long ways.
Man.
You'd be amazed by just adding a little paint, adding some colors. The description states here, it will carry the value of your home. Literally.
Wow.
Just a little paint.
Just the paint.
Just the paint.
Wow. Is it the color or just paint? If it's just new paint, or is it need to be a
So look at it this way. You're looking at an old school ride. It's a real nice car. It just need a paint job. And once you paint it and you have some nice wheels on it, when you roll it.
Right, exactly.
Even an old school. So I love old schools. So, but I'm just saying, you know,
Right.
it's one of those kind of things. And so if you run into a home that has some chip paint on the outside and things of that nature, get to a honey-do list, take a weekend, and basically get your home prepared for selling.
Right.
It's your home, so you're trying to get the most of your value. Okay. And sometimes you can have an appraiser do a drive-by to give you an estimate of your value of the home. So that way you have an idea what to sell the price of the home for. Okay. So we generally go within the mile radius of the residence. So the appraisers are staying in the neighborhood. So it's no longer trying to go outside the neighborhood. They need to have some sales within the neighborhood. Now, the only way they will go outside the neighborhood is if there's no sales within the last year or so. They can pretty much go to 1 or 2 years, I'm going to say, as far as getting a sales price and an appraised value for your home. You appraise your car, you appraise your jewelry, so you get your home appraised. It's the same thing. It's an investment. A home is an investment, which is why we want home ownership. We want more of it. Okay.
Right.
And I'm speaking to all denominations. I'm very transparent when I educate my clients about home ownership. Very transparent, as well as my sellers. So I don't just work for buyers, I work for sellers as well. And there has been times when I've worked on both sides of the transactions. It's becomes just being a transaction coordinator, and I'm just working for the transaction. But make sure that I understand, I listen to what my clients are looking and, what they're wanting,
Right. Right.
So don't think that because you put some granite countertop in your home and, it's now worth $10,000. No, you're going to have some other things in that home to add up to the value, because upgrades is what they consider just normal wear and tear. You should upgrade that anyway, right? It's your home. You should take care of it. Making sure general maintenance, keeping keeping your air ducts and things like that clear and clean. Some of the things that I'm working on getting to do in the spring cleaning in my home. But it's just one of those things. You want to keep your home up to date. You just fresh paint, keeping the outside curb appeal, not having all these kick tires sitting around in the backyard where it's got grass growing all around it. If you have a shed in the backyard, make sure it's well trimmed up in the backyard. You'll be amazed what buyers are being picky at. So let me give you another nugget that I share with my sellers, and it's a new service, if you will. And shout out to Craig Hill with Inspects. He will be at the Home Sweet Homeowners Expo, so you'll be able to come and talk to him personally. And we'll talk about the expo. So anyway, Craig Hill from Inspects is one outstanding inspector. He is one of those that does a one-stop shop. Okay. For an example, two homes that I recently listed and they sold within a matter of weeks. One of them, it went its own direction, but the other one it sold within a matter of weeks. But what I'm saying is that the inspector came and inspected the home before we put the home on the market. What does that do for you as a seller? That gives you an idea of what to fix in your home from a standpoint of an inspector who could be working for that buyer to come buy your home. So that was so key for him to bring that to the industry of real estate to help our sellers have your home prepared before you actually put your house on the market. So what does that mean, Sunny? As you're the seller, when you put your house on the market, say for an example, Deanna comes to buy my house. She's buying my house to put it under contract, right? So when she puts my house, after we negotiate and I accept her offer and we move money, things around, and she's under contract, she has 10 to 15 days as a buyer to do a home inspection on my property, which means her and her agent will enter into my home to do the inspection. So the inspector is there to go off the roof. They're look at the plumbing. They're there to do electrical. They're there to look at the foundation if there's any issues. They will test all your appliances And I'm speaking, and so as I'm saying this to the sellers, this is the same service you get as a buyer. But it's a well-rounded service because they do a sewer scoping. I have my buyers do a sewer scoping. If your property is built before 1985 or after or up to 2000, we won't have your pipe scope. We want to make sure that there's no blockage. I've had one or two clients that literally after they bought a home there was an issue with plumbing. But it could be prevented if we did inspections for it. So, again, a key nugget for buyers and sellers. It helps to have a home inspection. Okay?
For both and sellers.
Buyers and sellers. Absolutely. Now, be sure to, if you are interested in that product or that services, Craig Hill is awesome. I would definitely love to work with you to sell your home. And then definitely share this information, more details with you. But I know because the time is of essence and we're pressing through, those are some of the nuggets that I want to share with the sellers. Make sure you get what we call a CMA, which is a comparison market analysis, which again gives you an idea what to sell your home for, so that you're not overselling your property. If it's too overpriced, as a buyer's agent, we're educating our buyers to not purchase it. Negotiate. Why? Because if it's not of value, if there's no homes that have been sold in your housing area for that price that you're asking for, why are you selling it for that? You have to make your home compatible to where it can sell. The whole goal is to get it on the market and off the market.
That makes sense. So question, I actually just spoke with a guy today that owns a home in Dallas, and he's been trying to sell his home for 3 years.
Wow.
Right. So my first question was, I said, well, this is, what a coincidence, like, why has it taken so long for you to sell your home? And he said, to be honest, I can't compete. He said, my home is an older style home. And then he was just like, all around me, they're building the modern style homes.
Yes.
So what would be your advice to a seller that's in a situation like that? You know what I'm saying? That has a home and can't sell it. Because I see that a lot.
And it happens. And let's be real, it happens. And even when you approach it, sometimes when you have a seller that wants to put their house on the market right before the holidays. So this is in the time frame of about the end of September, October. Well, most likely your home will sit on the market for a little while because that's the downtime season for the industry. Now, there are that 5% that will make them purchases during that time frame, right? But again, it goes back to that time frame where I was saying after spring break, people are buying houses at that point. So by the time October rolls around, fall season rolls around, they're ready to celebrate for the holiday season. They're not thinking about purchasing. So depending on the season when you put your home on the market, it depends on how aggressive your agent is being with marketing your property. It's so much information out here that's so tech savvy that you can even hop on your cell phone to find properties nowadays. Wow, so, yeah. It's one of those things that just how are you marketing the property? And believe it or not, with the social media waves, that's the best way for any real estate agent to really get them information out there. But as agents, it helps for us to negotiate, to not only network, but be in tune with other people, such as Extreme Financial Academy, that are coming through your service for credit to get to buying a home. That's the whole point. And so it could be a number of reasons why, and definitely if you have the older home and got newer homes coming up in the area.
And because like I said, this is where we get real authentic.
Yes,
you have to be creative. And honestly, Sunny, that's been one of my biggest fears with buying a home, personally, is because I've ran into so many people that have problems selling the home. So because I'm not really I'm at that place in my life where I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm gonna move states. I don't know where I'm gonna be at. So I'm like, what if I buy a house and then I'm like this man that I talked to today that's, 3 years down the line and you paying a mortgage in Dallas and rent here.
Right.
So I'm just like, how, so I love the fact that you said even, paying attention to how you're marketing.
Paying attention to it.
Because these are some of the things that's kind of soothing my mind. Like, okay, well, maybe it's not maybe they just don't know what they're doing.
And it could be. But now let me share with you this, D. And I call her D. So that's you'll hear me say that. That's my personal name for my sis. I call her D. So let me share with you this, D. I always like to, and we're getting to the part where we're talking about the buyer's time side now. So if you had some questions about the seller side, make sure you let me know, get in contact with me. It's really not that hard to sell a home. Again, it's just how you market it and what time of the season you're putting it on, and make sure you're listing it at the right price. And make sure your home is intact. You can't ask to sell a home for $150,000. It's only worth 130, and you're claiming you're putting so much into it. I had a listing, and I'm going to share some examples. I had a listing, and the lady she told me she put $100,000 into the house. Okay, the property was free and clear. Why would you put $100,000 into a home that's property free and clear? I would just update the home with a few little touches, a few updates of the fixtures. Those out of date homes that are coming up with those modern. Go look at those homes. They're open. They're brand new homes that you can go and tour at any given time. You can walk through there and get some ideas on some things of how to update your house. And kind of get in tune to what's going on.
Right.
Now, there are some people.
That's a good point.
There are some people that still like that old school traditional houses, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But you have like the historical homes. They're just updating them. It just needs to be buffed and polished, a little paint again,
And it's kind of hard to skip around it.
It really is. It really is.
Because I asked him, I said, well, have you considered, updating the home? And he was like, well, no, I just. I'm gonna just wait till it's
that is so important to make sure you can consider that. You have to be flexible to be able to have that home sellable. That's the whole goal to that. So as far as the buyers, the advantage that I educate my buyers on is location. If you have children, that is my number one question when I'm working with the buyer. Is there children involved? Because if there are children involved, we're looking at school districts. Everybody's trying to get to a good school district. Everybody. I don't know what parent is not wanting to get to a good school district. So what we'll do is we'll talk about the many different, ways that you are able to find that location that matters to you to get to the school district. And then from there, we just figure out the game plan. Get your credit straight. Get your finances straight. And then at that point, make sure you get your pre-approval intact. So those are some starting points for any buyer that is looking to purchase a home, is to make sure that you have those key things in place, because it's nothing like going out shopping for a home and you don't know what you're qualified for. So on the other side for the buyers, location is important to understand where you want to be. There's so many things that's coming up as far as new additions. I mean, just look at Yukon and Mustang. Just take a ride over there. Oh my goodness.
Man, I've taken a ride over there.
Ridiculous. It's so many brand new homes that is coming up. So brand new homes is another thing. That's one of my preferred clients I love working with. I have several. I enjoy doing veterans. I feel like veterans should be a lot more service than what they're getting. So there are several different programs out here for the veterans. So if you're a veteran, I do enjoy working for veterans. I also enjoy working with first-time home buyers. It is such a joy to work with people such as Dee, who has all these fear barriers of, I can't buy a home. You can buy a home. If your credit is where it needs to be, if you are a paying person that pays your bills on time, excuse me, ma'am or sir, you pay taxes. Can I get you to have a property, please? I'm going to need you to take this into consideration. And I'm just being transparent. Please understand. I'm just being transparent as I can, okay?
Absolutely.
When you are renting, if you, for an example, like I'm going to use D for an example, if you are renting, and say, for example, you want to go back home to Atlanta, okay? I want to go back to ATL. If you're renting, you're going to have to hustle up the money to save, to move all your stuff, or you're going to sell it and transport it all the way to Atlanta. That's a truck, that's a U-Haul, all that stuff, and move all your stuff to across the country. Okay? Because that's me on the other side of the world. But if you're renting, you have to hustle up the money before you can go. Now, if you're selling, you've owned a home, you sold that home, it's in a great location, it's listed at the right price, it's helpful, and it's marketed correctly, and it sells in a timely fashion. Now you can take the equity of the home you own to go move yourself to another state. So renting, you have to hustle up the money to save to get to move to the other state, right? If you own your home, you can sell and use that equity, get that $10, $20, $30,000. And do you not think that would help you move across the states without you having to hustle 3 to 4 months before you have to move? You have enough already going on moving from one state to the next. Because if you're moving from one state to the next, you're going there for another reasons. Either a family illness or something is going on to where you have to get there to get some attention to. Or you have to be
real right now. I love it. I absolutely love it. Y'all just joining. Thank you for joining. I got real and authentic. And I told her, if you're just joining, I said, and I love it because you know what I'm saying? Because listen, I was like, listen, I want to be real and authentic. One of my biggest fears with buying a home was like, okay, like I don't even know if I'm gonna be in this state. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And there's so many people that I know that buy a home and they have issues selling it. It'd be 3 and 4 years. My mom, her husband, it was, you know what I'm saying, 5 years that went by. They still trying to sell a home. So she's just really, I love the nuggets that she's giving on things to look at, you know what I'm saying? To look for, you know, because those were, I guess that was the education that I was missing. Like, I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, nah, I ain't finna end up like them. I'm just like that. I'm gonna wait until hubby comes, and then I'll buy a home. I'm gonna wait until I'm stable and get to where I need to be. But so I love it. So
I want to talk to them single mamas, those single daddies, those grandmas that are taking care of the grandbabies. Y'all have to provide a living legacy. Leave something for these kids to keep passed down to these kids' kids. That's what we're fighting for right now, is to have those type of rights, those type of things. And so having a piece of property is big. Okay, let me ask you this. You remember when land, I'm not sure if you're not from here, land used to be $3,000 for 5 acres here in Oklahoma. Do you want to know how much 5 acres of land is right now? Just raw land, 5 acres, over $100,000. So we went from $3,000 to $100,000. So it's important, not dollars. Dollars. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all getting the real me. I'm sorry.
Don't be apologizing. No,
it's just the real authentic me. Look like somebody said, break down the synonym unions of established credit and equity. Well, that's going to be one of those where if you have, let me make sure I reread that. Establish credit and equity. So establishing some credit. Let me make sure I'm reading that question correctly. Kareem. Hey, Kareem. How you doing?
Thank you for joining.
Equity.
Please share this video, you guys.
So equity is so important. So if you purchase a home and you're ready to sell that home. So say, for example, you bought the home for $100,000. Okay. And it's now time to sell the home. Our home value appreciates every at least 2% or so a year. So that's important to know as far as if you get in the right area. And so there's no incorrect area, right? It's again by school district. So if you have kids, y'all know you're going by school districts. So Midwest City, Dale City is a good area. Dale City is pretty tough when it comes to if you're buying a home in that area, only because they go through a certain Dale City inspection. So you go your own inspection, but they got to have another Dale City inspection. Now, that may be something that's going to come about. I'm curious to see if it's going to happen in the Oklahoma City, where they actually make these landlords get inspections before they sell their homes as well. So again, this is one of those things that you kind of have to be on the up and up, but that's Dale City. But again, I talked about Yukon and Mustang. So the actual equity is if you bought the home, it's worth it's now worth, you're ready to sell it. Most sellers will sell their home every 7 to 10 years. Kind of just the rule of numbers that they're rolling out there. But you bought the home for $100,000. Now it's worth $150,000. So between $100,000 and $150,000, there's $50,000 worth of equity. So that's exactly why I'm saying if you're renting, you're hustling up this money to move. And it ain't even got to be next across the country, across the states. It could be a couple of cities over. So regardless of the point, you want to continue to be a home owner so that you can utilize the equity versus just trying to rent. Because when you rent, you're giving your money away to somebody else and you're paying off somebody else's mortgage. And just understand, if you're renting, they can increase your rent at any given time. But if you have a mortgage, your mortgage is pretty much set for that 30 years. So it's important to have an ownership in property so that way you can have that equity. Okay.
Nice.
So there's a couple of different home loans, and let me just kind of run down real quickly. Is it 7:30 already? How long we been on here?
That's how much information she got to give to y'all.
I got some stuff to unload, and I'm just trying not to give y'all too much, but just enough to say. I have done real estate for 11 years. I have 5 years of loan origination where I've actually got people qualified to buy a home. So I worked on the money side. Now I'm in real estate on the real estate side with the keys to the city, and I've been doing that for 6 years as of this month. Now, just a little bit of history about me so that you can understand why I am so passionate about educating the community. I don't want to say the buyer or the seller, the community. It's so many people out here that are like D, they want to buy a home, but again, they got these fear barriers. I don't know where it needs to start, what I need to do. So I actually have 11 years of human resources experience. Okay, so putting people to work wasn't working for me. They didn't want to work. So I got out of it, came back to real estate. So walked off my job July 31st, 2016 or 13, excuse me, and totally just said, I'm trusting God in this, on this real estate. And 6 years later, I now have a podcast. I have doubled and tripled my business. It is unbelievable. I'm hosting the second annual Home Sweet Homeowners Expo in just 40 days away. So it is just amazing what God is doing in my life. And so I have to stop and give him all thanks for everything that he's done, because it's be able to give me the both sides that most agents don't have. So I always tell buyers, I'm not your typical agent, and I can understand if you're not a jail for me. Everybody that comes to me has been sent to me because I pray for them to be sent to me. So if that makes any sense, I hope you caught that.
Right.
So definitely. So there's a couple of things as I got into educating on home ownerships with neighborhood housing services and community action, and being a part of that platform, speaking to new buyers. Okay, so this is something I have done for the last 3 years, and which is why it birthed me saying I have a voice. I like to talk. I like to, smile and, put a smile on people's face and make sure they feel good and comfortable. So with that, it was just, you're going to do a podcast. And so January 1, 2019, I launched Neighborhood Jams with Sunni Pouncil. And so, and so if you don't jam with me, I grew my audience to 4,000 viewers in 2019 from all over of Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, New Jersey. I'm all the way in Ghana, Africa. So, I mean, I appreciate my supporters from 1,000%. You just don't understand, which is why I fight to go to keep my education, my mind straight, so I can share with you what's not going to be shared, because nobody's ever sharing home ownership. And don't get me to start to shed tears, because it's important. And I don't understand why people can't find the information that they need. So we're giving it to you on a platform that is unbelievable. If you have what we call these little things right here, then you have what you can get, all that you need right here. And we're bringing it to you. So I'm sorry, I just got a little passionate about that.
No, it happens. Nope, it happens.
So education is so important to make sure you understand. And if there's a thing that I don't know, I'm not going to tell you I don't know. Let me research and I'll get back with you. But it's one of those things that I'm a go-getter. I believe in getting the service for my clients, about my clients, and being the keynote listening for my clients. So are we going to battle and disagree? Well, I mean, we're going to disagree, but as long as we agree to disagree, then we are okay. We grown folks. So my goal is to sell your house or get you keys to that house. That's my mission.
I like that.
So don't give me a goal and then you're not ready to play your part, because then I'm going to look at you like I can't do this without you. It takes all of us, and it starts with you. So I went from just growing my real estate business, and now on a platform of lunch and learns with employers. And so talking to different employers, I have 4 huge accounts that I go and do lunch and learns quarterly at their employee job sites, talking about home ownership. And I'm getting Will D in there to come in there and talk about credit, because we can't do home ownership without credit.
No.
There is no talks without it.
It's not.
Believe me, I shared it when she wasn't here. Now Hey, I'm one of those. I'm not shade. I'll tell you just like it is. You gotta have your credit. You gotta have your finances in place. It's so key. When you have the thought of ownership, it needs to start immediately right there. Start saving. Every penny matters. And the more you don't save, the further along you're prolonging your part of it. There's so much money out here that they're giving you. Down payment assistance available through neighborhood housing services and community action. And there are some lenders that have in-house down payment assistance and give credits. So I mean, it's no more of I need to have $20,000 to buy a house. I've had a buyer that bought a house for $12.12 last year. How many houses you want to buy $12? I mean, I've had a buyer give back $500. I've had a buyer bring as much as $20,000, but that was at a price point over $300,000. So it depends on your house. It depends on your price point. And as I educate my buyers on, when you get pre-qualified, we're not maxing it out. We're going to get to a point that says, I'm pre-qualified for $240,000, but I can naturally afford, according to money that I got coming in, this much. So it may be $200,000. Okay. So we don't want to break the bank. And as I would tell the buyers, don't go home poor. You're trying to make a living, you know? So we put ourselves in that situation. And now what happens? It messes up our credit.
Right.
And so now we're back to square one.
And see, and maybe that's what it is. It's like, but this, I know it's not just me. These are, fears that a lot of people have because it's
and these lights, it's these lights too. So don't, it ain't nothing environment, but the environment's definitely set. So
it's just the people that got the bad experiences, like what you just mentioned.
And sometimes that happens. You'll have those. I'll be honest with you. I've had a couple of listings that they said, Sunny, I'd just rather go with another listing agent. It happens, but when it happens, I always like to ask, well, was it something I've done? Because I always like to be on that other side of customer service too. I am human. I'm not going to portray that I'm the perfect person as a real estate agent, but I do fight for my clients and I do make sure they get their justice when it comes to purchasing their home, that they're not out here getting taken over. Because we do have a lot of that's going on too. And I'm just being transparent with you. So please make sure if you are not, if I'm not a fit for you, please interview your real estate agent. Please make sure you go do your research on your agent. Please, there's Oklahoma you can research the person. If they don't have a Facebook page, if they don't have some website, come on now, that's not a real estate agent. Now, there are some people that are new, and we have a lot of new agents coming in real estate, just like we have a lot of new people starting credit. You have to do your research. Make sure you check. And as I'm on here to live on my Facebook, any of my clients that I've serviced, I would love to make sure you get your reviews in. Those reviews are so important. They help. People want to know their experience that they have done with you. Right. So it's just one of those. I want to make sure that you have a good experience. It's not going to be some transaction has been roughed. I've had a client that, I talked to him and let him know that, hey, you want this house, you got to get those tax papers to your lender. Anytime your lender is calling and asking for stuff, you have literally 24 hours to get them that information. Otherwise, you slow down the process. Right. Again, I told you I'm a go-getter. I don't want the ball in my court at no point in time. So if it's any way I can get it on to the next person, that's what makes the process move. Okay. So real quickly, as far as the buyer side, and I'm not sure, I lost kind of what time we started, but there's a few different types of home loans. There's an FHA loan. A FHA loan is the basic home loan that's out there for you. Okay. It is a loan guaranteed by the Federal Housing Administrator for first-time buyers. Okay. They generally enable qualified buyers to enter the housing market with a lower down payment. So that's anywhere from 3 to 3.5% down payment. Okay. So now if you're looking at a $100,000 home, 3 to 3.5% of that is about $3,000. So, I mean, we're not talking $20,000. So it depends on your price point of your home that you're purchasing that determines how much down payment you need to bring. Now, I dropped the nugget about the down payment assistance at Neighborhood Housing Services and Community Action, and that's almost $14,000. So, and let me drop one other one. You have to have a 640 credit score or more for OFA. People are slipping on OFA. Oklahoma Housing Federal
And
Agency,
you guys, the
yes.
640 is very doable.
It's so
Coming from
doable.
a credit expert,
It's
I'm
doable.
telling you, it's very, very doable. It's not hard. A lot of people even think that just because their score is a little low, oh, my credit is so bad. No, sometimes just minor tweaks
Yes.
can really change the entire game for you. So
Paying the bills on time.
right, that's a big one.
That's a
But that ain't the only one.
No.
And that's what a lot of people don't know.
No.
So that's why I do workshops, you guys, and I do classes over this type of
So
stuff.
you can get educated.
Right. So it's like I ain't buying a house because I don't know the process.
Right.
I ain't buying a house because my fear is that Sunny going over. Like I ain't buying a house because I'm like, listen. So it's like, okay. So while we're on that, really quick. So I'm on here on my other phone looking at one of the questions, and he says, "What's your advice on buying an investment property for the first time?" And that's kind of the same with buying for the first time because that's my biggest thing. Like number one, I know you said inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be another piece of advice, even for the buyer or the seller, like even myself, on like, okay, now I know my credit score is good, boom, I know I can buy one, but what are some of the things that I need to be looking at to make sure I don't get into some shit that, you know what I'm saying? Like if I need to sell it, I can't.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Or like Ken Johnson said, if he's the buyer, you know, or what is it, the seller? Look, I'm like the seller. This ain't my lane, y'all. So I'm like the seller, you know what I'm saying? Even on their end, what are some things that they can look for to know, like, okay, if I'm going to invest in this property, I need to make sure, one, the inspection. What are some more things? Is that kind
so what as you would want to starters, set aside $2,000. Okay.
Off top.
Off top.
Okay.
Tax season is starting. This is the best time to save those tax dollars. You want that home, you want those keys, right? We got a goal. If it was on your vision board, we have a mission. Okay. So Ken, let me drop this nugget to you. Okay. I'm not sure. Some people are starting to catch on to it. Some people haven't quite gotten it yet. But have you ever considered purchasing an investment property as far as a duplex? You live on one side and you rent out the other side. Talk about residual income to where if that rent that you're charging is paying for your mortgage, that leaves you mortgage free. Now, you can live there for a certain amount of years if you're on an FHA program. I would say, I think it's 3 to 5 years. I want to make sure, but it has to come from a lender standpoint. Now, again, I'm not on that side, and laws and regulations have changed over time since I've been in that field. But, you know, just speaking and with my partner lenders that I work with, of course, that's one of the things that they say is about 3 to 5 years. And so with that, you know, you want to make sure that after that 3 to 5 years, you're able to move on to another house and then rent both sides out. And then before you know it, within 10 years or so, that duplex can be paid for, depending on how much you purchased it for. So that is one of those things that you can definitely buy investments. But definitely investment properties, that's going to be in the field with Carla Huntley. That's who was here last month. So if you missed last month, I'm encouraging you to go back and replay that episode because she dropped some nuggets on investment properties and understanding the return on your investments, and getting you to those numbers. My field is, my expertise is more going to be in the buying, as far as working with you as an individual buyer, buying a piece of property. And as a buyer who will become a seller soon, my goal to you is to get your location. Your location is everything. And just make sure.
So you want to transition a person.
Yeah,
Is that kind of okay? So that's the okay.
Let me upgrade you.
Yeah, I like that. So you're not just like, here, let me help you buy a home.
No.
Let me help you buy a home, then sell that home, and let's duplicate it.
It's building a relationship. It's building a relationship with me. So let me explain something. I love right now buyers. I have 3 of them that just reached out to me today. I'm ready to buy a house right now. Those are what we call right now buyers. I love those. But don't get me wrong, for those that are not ready right now, they may be ready another 2 years from now. That's a good relationship that I can build with that buyer, understanding exactly what they want, when they want it, and when they need it. And during that 2-year time frame, we have a goal in place where you're working with D, getting your credit straight, those finances intact, so that when you are ready in 2 years, you can't be told no. That's the whole goal. We're going to talk to where you can get the end result, which is the keys. And if you want to have it, it's up to you to do it.
Right.
It's up to you to do it.
Absolutely.
So
execution
is everything.
Execution.
So FHA is one of the loans. Conventional is another loan. And there's kind of difference when it comes to the appraisals. Um, and let me stop right there. I'm gonna come back to this. So I was saying save that $2,000 in the beginning, right? $2,000. 500 is for your earnest money. That earnest money goes to the actual title company of your choice as a buyer. You as the buyer have a choice of what title company you want to close at. So if you're not familiar with what title company you would like to choose at, then trust your agent to get that best service for you. Okay. So $500 right off the top. You've gone and got your pre-approval from your lender. You've provided me your paperwork showing that you've been pre-qualified. You and I have set down some goals. You've told me your likes, your dislike, what you want, what you need, your most important things, and we're going to go off of your needs versus your wants. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to work on the needs while you're trying to look for the wants. I got to focus on the needs. The school district, I need the split bedroom. I want my master on one side. I want the other 2 bedrooms on the other side. That's what we call a split plan. When you walk into the new modern homes that are now open, where the kitchen and the living room and all that, that's called an open floor plan. And so you kind of want to get out, and when you see signs that says open house, that means this house is open. It's open to you as the public to go and tour it. So go by and tour those homes. You can only imagine some of the things that you can go in there and get an idea of what you may want, even if you're not ready right now.
Right.
So just planting some seeds for you.
Okay, now another question real quick. So one of the things that have kind of been in my brain, not actually even kind of, something that I definitely had in motion was I wanted to, what about a person who, okay, they may have several houses, but what is your take on Airbnb? Like for instance, or even like a hotel, because I've thought about, okay, if your credit is good and you can do it, why not? If I'm not personally ready to buy a home, why not, you know what I'm saying, go buy me 3 or 4 homes, put them by the airport and make them like hotel style and then turn them into like Airbnb. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your take on that? Because that's something that I honestly have been thinking about. So yeah, I want your take on that. Like, what's your take on that?
Okay. We're going to address that one.
Yeah.
What I do want to finish up before
Okay,
is this amount for this $2,000.
Okay.
Because that leads up to the inspection part, which you were talking about.
Got you.
I want you to understand that there's funds that you have to invest into before you can even buy a home. Okay, so $500 is your earnest money. That shows the seller that you are interested in purchasing their home. The earnest check goes directly to the title company. We have negotiated the contract, and so once the seller has accepted our offer as the buyer, now we're in a contract agreements to buy that house. Now we have a 30 to 45-day window to close the house and be in our house. Okay, so that's why I tell people, if you have a target date, know your target date. I want to be out by May 31st. Okay, this is February. You need to be looking for a house right now. You need to be out shopping. Because if you're a picky person, if there are some picky clients out there, if you're a picky particular person that you want certain things, it's going to take you a good 30, 60 days to find that right house. So now you see how you're bumping up against May 31st. You don't have that kind of time because now you're going to have to go month to month. Now, if you go month to month, that's cool. Okay. But otherwise, you want to make sure that you are on target with 30 to 45 days. Within that 30, 45 days, you have 10 to 15 days after your contract has been accepted to actually conduct your home inspection, which means you and I will schedule a day and time that's convenient for you on the schedule for the inspector to come and do your full home inspection, your termite inspection, and depending on the year of the home, we're going to scope your pipes too. Okay, so between those 3 services, that one inspector is coming to do just pretty much all of that service in one. So you can, depending on the square footage of the house, you can average about $400 to $600 for that inspection. Okay, so this is of the 200 you set, the 2,000 you set aside. So we've already used $1,100. So the remaining funds is going to go towards your appraisal. Because after we've gone into a contract, I, as your listing agent, have to submit your contract to your lender, who now starts the process to make sure we have the money in place. So that is so important why we ask the buyers to go get pre-qualified first, because it's so important for you to know how much you can spend instead of just out here looking for a house. True story. I had a client last year who wanted me to show her some houses. $700,000 price point. Asked for pre-approval information, didn't get it. Okay, I'm going to show you 1 or 2 houses, and after that, I need to have that pre-approval letter, because you got to understand, I don't get paid until you get to the closing table to get your keys. That's when I get awarded and compensated. So all this time of negotiation, all this time of touring homes, all that is my time that I'm investing with you. Okay.
Wow.
So just know that I don't get paid till it closes.
That's
So
actually a great inside
man,
perspective.
you gotta understand from the other side.
Be known like that other side.
They think realtors is rich.
Right.
Hello? No, we're not.
Basically.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Yeah,
Unless you're a millionaire selling real estate, then okay, that's something different. But I'm just an average person here in Oklahoma City trying to make $1 and send my son to school. Okay, so anyway, so the appraisal comes in, and once the appraisal come in, then it's a part of that transaction that says if this home appraised for that $150,000, this is where it's going to be the breaking point in the contract. Okay, it always gets to the appraisal because the appraisal can make or break any deal. And anybody that's had a home and sold a home, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That appraiser didn't appraise my house. I had this put in and that put in, a new heat and the air system and this, you know, and then they lower your value in your home. So that lowers the value of the homes in the neighborhood. So that's why it's important. If you keep your maintenance up in your house, you'll keep the property value up in your residence, in your homes, in your communities. It's so important. So your appraisal comes in, as value, which means we offered the house at $150,000. We got it for $150,000. It appraises for $150,000. It's all good. There's no repairs from the appraisal. That's a clean deal. Okay. However, on the flip side of that, your house could come in and the appraiser comes in. We offered the house at $150,000. Okay. The appraiser comes in and said the house is worth $160,000. Up there, Kareem, you asked that question of equity. Ding, ding, ding. You have now closed your home with $10,000 worth of equity in your home.
Sheesh.
The sales price does not increase. Okay. Another scenario. Your appraisal value comes in. We offer the house at $150,000, and the appraiser comes in at $140,000, or anything below $150,000, $148,950. The sales price of the contract automatically reduces to that new sales price, the appraised value. And it automatically adjusts all your numbers down. So you thought you may needed to bring $5,000 for closing. Now, because this value of the property came in and it dropped your value down, now your sales price drops. Now your down payment drops. Your mortgage payment drops. Hello, can somebody say amen, Jesus? Okay, I'm just saying. I'm sorry, I had to get a praise moment. Anyway, so that's pretty much about the $2,000 in general process. We send your contract to the title company. The title company is a third-party entity. They are just there to facilitate the transaction, to make sure it transaction from deed to deed, from owner to owner. It's legal. It's filed down with the city that you are the owner of that property. So that's where we go and close. That's where you take your earnest funds. We schedule that day and time convenient for you to be at the closing table. Now, if I don't tell you nothing else, get your home inspection on every home you purchase. There are some investors that will come out and buy some investment properties, and that's okay if you're buying it cash. Still get your inspection because you want to know what you're buying before you get into it. Okay, that's your way in to get in there, and after the inspection, that's your way out. So if the seller is not willing to fix any of the repairs that we put on the TRR from your inspection, okay. So we've gone to the inspection, you pay the inspector produces a report back and says, I found this is wrong, this was good, this might be okay, but you might need to fix it in another year or two. This is what your inspector is going to tell you at the home inspection. That's why you need to be there. I bought my first home and I wasn't present, and I was so upset after I found out I could be present. So that's why it's important to communicate with your agent. Okay?
And that's why it's important that you are here. Because of stuff like that. See that experience? That's what I'm talking about. Right there.
It's one of those.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those.
But then I would have been the one that had a bad experience, and I would have come to you like, see, Sunny, I told you. Man.
But anyway, so within that 30, 45 days, we go to the title company, you get your keys, I get my commission check. The relationship just begins at that moment. I'm in business to build a relationship. I want to help you buy your home, and I want to turn around and help you sell that home. So I hope that I'm a fit for you if you're looking for a buyer's agent, if you're looking for a seller's agent. I'm now a part of a growing team. I just transferred brokerages over to Ariston Realty, so shout out to them. I'm fast tracking to leadership, so hopefully within the next year I will be a broker. So again, it's just one of those things that God is moving things in my path. So we'll keep on going. So Airbnb is one of those things that I love about Airbnbs is because you can purchase a property. That's something I'm interested in doing right now, is buying some property, one or two. When you do Airbnb, location, location, location. When you start a business, that's the first thing you need to consider is location, location, location. The airport, near colleges, near